But let's start with softball because this is Monday. Softball starts Thursday. The conference releases today. Conference schedule for television: 15 regular season games for the Sooners. Going to be on national television this season. And look, there was never a mystery about Oklahoma's moving to the SEC. We never wondered what it was going to bring. We knew more eyeballs, more pressure, more noise, and more expectations. But with the release of this schedule, the TV schedule, the SEC kind of made something else unmistakably clear, that this isn't just a transition for Oklahoma. It's an elevation. When the conference released its, again, this national broadcast schedule, we see the Sooners 15 games, 15 nationally televised regular season games. That doesn't include like ESPN Plus. That doesn't include Flow Softball. Those are on the ESPN networks. So they're not just joining this conference conversation, of which they are the defending conference champions. They're defining the conference. 15 games, ESPN, ESPN2, SEC network. So from mid-March through early May, Oklahoma is going to be everywhere. Not selectively, not sparingly, week after week in the heart of the season on linear television. And here's why that matters. Because in this conference, television's not about access. It's about value. The league doesn't give away windows just willy-nilly. It allocates them. Every national slot represents confidence that the product is going to deliver. It's going to deliver competitive games, meaningful stakes, strong ratings, and postseason relevance. And Oklahoma checks every single one of those boxes. This isn't a courtesy bump from like 12, what they got in 2025, to 15, what they're looking at this year in number of national broadcast appearances. This is a statement that the SEC sees Oklahoma as one of its cornerstone brands in a conference absolutely loaded with elite softball programs. And if you look closely at how those 15 games are distributed, the message, I think, becomes even more loud. This season, it's not going to ease Oklahoma into SEC life. We saw that last year. There was nothing easy about it, right? But this schedule compared to last year's schedule, this one drops them directly into the deep end of the pool. The first nationally televised game comes March 15th when Auburn comes to Norman for the series finale, and that's going to be on the SEC network. That's not a glamour opener. It's a grind out SEC series in mid-March. It's exactly the kind of matchup that the league wants Oklahoma attached to. From there, the schedule reads kind of like a tour of the conference's most demanding environments. You've got Ole Miss, you've got Baton Rouge, LSU, you got Texas A&M, and Texas. By the way, I love that matchup between the two, quote, postseason tournament co-champions, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. That's the final weekend of the season. That wasn't coincidence. That was planned, and it's going to be must-see TV. This is visibility paired with difficulty. And you look at these road series at Ole Miss and LSU, both land on the SEC network. The finale of that LSU series, it's going to be in the ESPN window on March 29th. Again, not accidental. Networks want Oklahoma in hostile buildings late in the series with postseason implications already simmering, because that brings the drama. That brings the eyeballs. That's something only Oklahoma can do. Because Oklahoma doesn't shrink in those moments, they enhance those. And the centerpiece of all this, the centerpiece is mid-April, Austin, Texas, 3 games, 3 national broadcasts, 2 on ESPN, and then the other part of that series on ESPN2. That Oklahoma-Texas series, that's where the SEC is planting its flag. This is the league announcing its new flagship softball rivalry to the entire country. 2 blue bloods, 2 fan bases that travel, 2 programs that are expected to be playing in May every single year. The fact that every game of this series will air nationally tells you everything you need to know about how the SEC views Oklahoma's role moving forward. This wasn't an addition to the conference for nostalgia. This isn't legacy branding. This is trust. They trust that the matchup, whatever it is with Oklahoma, it's going to matter. They trust that the games are going to be competitive. They trust that the stakes are going to feel very, very real, because they are. They will be. And so whether it's conference positioning or postseason seeding, the SEC is betting that Oklahoma, Texas is going to carry the weight and the ratings no matter where it's played. And what's just as telling is that Oklahoma's television presence is not limited to road tests. You got Love's Field becoming a recurring national stage as well. We already mentioned the Auburn game, but you got Wichita State, you got Arkansas, you got Georgia. All those are going to air on the ESPN platforms, reinforcing that Oklahoma isn't just valuable as a road draw. It is a destination product here at home. And then you got April 15th, Oklahoma State, Bedlam, Devon Park, ESPN2. A non-conference rivalry still earns national window because Oklahoma's involvement raises the profile of this entire event. Even outside of SEC play, the Sooners bring built-in relevance. And that's not something that every program can say. The regular season television push, it's going to close at Texas A&M. We talked about it just a few minutes ago. Where all three games, April 30th through May 2nd, they're going to air again across SEC Network, ESPN2. And once again, like we said, this is strategic timing. Late season SEC series often decide more than just conference standings. They shape NCAA tournament seeding, hosting opportunities, and postseason paths. And by putting that series on national television, the SEC ensures one of the most important late season matchups stays front and center on the national conversation, on the national stage. And once again, Oklahoma is trusted to carry that moment. Now, the broadcast numbers, they're going to grab headlines, but there's also the streaming breakdown. You got early season road games starting Thursday, Arizona State and Arizona. Those are going to be on ESPN Plus. So it's going to give fans access to two critical measuring stick series. The Marionette Collegiate Classic is going to be on Flow College, preserving visibility during one of the sport's most important early tournaments. Every remaining SEC home game not selected for national TV and all other SEC road games, they're going to be available on SEC Network Plus. So road trips to North Texas, Memphis, they're going to stream on ESPN Plus as well. So the result is something college softball didn't have a decade ago. You have, as a fan, total access. If you want to follow Oklahoma softball in 2026, there literally are no blind spots. There's no hidden weekends, no mystery gaps. The entire season is visible because the sport and Oklahoma's place within it demands that kind of exposure now. And it really kind of brings us to what these numbers actually say. 15 nationally televised games, not a coincidence. That is an endorsement. They say the SEC believes Oklahoma remains appointment viewing. You see the broadcast, you see the schedule, you're going to be there in front of your TV. They say that networks trust the Sooners to deliver meaningful softball deep into the season. They say that Oklahoma's move to the SEC has amplified the national value of the conference, not dulled it. In a league where visibility is currency, Oklahoma is spending freely. But no visibility comes, I guess with visibility comes assumptions. Programs featured this often, they're expected to contend. They're expected to matter in April, expected to shape postseason conversations. And Oklahoma has lived with those assumptions for years, and the Sooners continue to justify them. So this schedule, it doesn't lower expectations. What it does is it formalizes them. And maybe that's the most important part of all this. Oklahoma softball doesn't need to be protected. This program isn't being shielded from pressure. It's being placed directly in front of it over and over again, because that's where it has always been most comfortable. As the conference continues to define college softball's national narrative, Oklahoma remains one of its most reliable lead characters. Not because of banners, not because of reputation alone, but because when the cameras are on, those games matter. And in 2026, the cameras are going to be in Oklahoma almost every weekend. Absolutely not an accident. That is the SEC telling you exactly who it believes drives this sport forward. And it's Oklahoma standing right in the middle of that spotlight, exactly where the Sooners have always been.